The first thing Ilana noticed wasn't the diamonds. It was how quiet the store became when she stepped in. Not silent, just altered. The kind of quiet that stretches a second too long. A sales associate glanced at her shoes, then her coat, then her face. A quick assessment, professional smile. "Let us know if you'd like assistance." Ilana nodded and moved deeper into the showroom. The air smelled faintly of polished wood and something citrus. Glass cases lined the room like museum exhibits. Everything inside them was lit brighter than the people looking at them. She wasn't browsing casually. She was looking for something specific. Her mother used to describe it when she was a child. Deep blue, almost black until the light hits it. She had mentioned it once years ago in a half-finished sentence she never completed. Ilana hadn't thought about that memory in a long time, until she saw it. Second case from the corner. Sapphire, oval cut, surrounded by tiny pearls that had aged into a warm cream tone. Her pulse thudded once, hard. She leaned closer to read the small placard beneath it. Late 19th century, estate piece. "Can I help you with that one?" The voice came from behind her. Ilana turned. The woman speaking was mid-40s, elegantly dressed, her posture rigid in the way of someone who has spent years being observed. A diamond bracelet glittered against her wrist, the kind that signals familiarity with rooms like this. "I was just looking." The woman's gaze flicked back to the necklace, then back to Ilana's hands. "You should probably ask before leaning that close." The tone was light, almost joking. Almost. Ilana stepped back slightly. "I didn't touch it. I didn't say you did." A small smile. 2 seconds passed. Then the woman raised her voice just enough. "Excuse me, could someone check this case?" The nearest associate stiffened. "Is there a problem?" "I'm not sure yet, but I think it's better to be careful." That word again. Careful. Within moments, one of the security guards approached. He didn't grab her, didn't accuse her, but he positioned himself too close. "Ma'am, I'll need you to step away from the display." "I already did." "Of course." His hand hovered near his radio. People were watching now, not openly. Side glances, half-turned shoulders, the subtle choreography of distance. Ilana felt heat rise along her collarbone. Not anger, not yet. Something closer to exposure. "Did something go missing?" she asked, steady. The associate checked the case. "Everything appears accounted for." The woman in diamonds exhaled through her nose. "Then maybe she won't mind a quick check." There it was. Ilana looked directly at her. "A check for what?" The guard cleared his throat. "Standard procedure." "Is it?" He hesitated. That hesitation was small, but it existed. Ilana could leave. That was the simplest option. Walk out, keep dignity, let them keep their comfort. Instead, she did something else. She set her bag down deliberately on the glass counter. "Go ahead." The guard blinked. "Ma'am, you don't have to." "No, if this is standard, let's do it properly." The room tightened. She emptied her coat pockets first. Receipts, keys, a folded grocery list. Then her purse, wallet, phone, notebook, lip balm. Each item placed carefully on the counter, one by one. No rush, no shaking hands, but she could feel her pulse behind her ears. The associate's smile had faded completely now. "Everything seems fine," she murmured. The woman in diamonds didn't respond. She was watching Ilana's face, not the purse, waiting for something. Cracks, anger, embarrassment. Instead, Ilana reached into her notebook. She tore out a page and began writing. "What are you doing?" the woman asked. "Documenting." She didn't look up. "Time, location, names on your tags." The guard's posture shifted. "This doesn't need to escalate. It already has." That was the first moment control changed, not because someone defended her, because she decided to anchor the moment in record. A door opened at the back of the showroom. Footsteps, measured, unhurried. An older man stepped out, not imposing, not theatrical, just observant. He'd clearly been watching through the office glass. "What's happening?" The associate spoke quickly. "A misunderstanding, sir. Everything is accounted for." The man's eyes moved to the counter, then to Alana, then to the written page in her hand. "And you are—" "Alana Brooks." The name landed softly, too softly. There was no flash of recognition, no dramatic pause, just calculation. "Brooks," he repeated, as if testing the shape of it. "Yes." His brow furrowed slightly. "Not memory, not yet. Was something taken?" "No," the guard answered. "Then why is her property on my display?" Silence. The woman in diamonds stepped in smoothly. "I only asked for caution. You can't blame someone for protecting a store like this." The owner studied her for a moment. He knew her, that was clear. Then he looked back at Alana. "Why were you interested in that piece?" The question was neutral. Alana swallowed. "My mother used to describe it." The room stilled in a different way. "Describe it how?" he asked. "She said the stone looked almost black until it caught light, like it was hiding something." A flicker passed over his face. Not certainty, recognition struggling to surface. "My mother worked here," Alana added. "Years ago, cleaning staff." The woman in diamonds shifted uncomfortably. The owner's posture changed subtly. "What was her name?" "Marianne Brooks." That did it. Not dramatic, not explosive, just quiet gravity. He looked toward the office, then back at the necklace. "She left abruptly," he said carefully. "She got sick." He nodded once. Then he did something imperfect. He hesitated. Because the truth wasn't simple. "That necklace," he began slowly, "was never meant for display." The associate looked startled. "Sir?" "I'm suggesting," he said calmly, "that we may have mishandled something. Not you, not her. We." He turned to Alana. "I need time to verify documentation. If what I suspect is correct, that piece may not belong in this case at all." "And if you're wrong," the woman pressed, "then I will apologize to both of you." That answer carried weight, not fairy tale certainty, risk. Alana gathered her things slowly. "Take your time," she said. No tears, no victory, just steadiness. As she reached the door, he spoke again. "Miss Brooks." She paused. "If I call you tomorrow, will you answer?" She considered that. "Yes." And she left. Behind her, the showroom did not resume normal, because something had shifted. Not ownership, not yet, but doubt. And doubt in rooms like that is far more dangerous than accusation. The next morning, before the store opened, 3 board members arrived unannounced, and they were not there to congratulate him. The wedding invitation had arrived 3 days after the incident at the store. Cream paper, embossed lettering, no handwritten note. Alana turned it over twice before opening it. She almost didn't go. It wasn't that she was close to the bride. They had met once at a non-profit fundraiser 2 years ago, a brief conversation about community housing grants. Polite, professional. But the groom's family name was familiar. Too familiar. The same surname listed among the boutique's minority board shareholders. Coincidence, maybe. Or maybe not. She decided to attend. Not out of obligation, out of curiosity. The venue overlooked the harbor, floor-to-ceiling glass walls, late afternoon light bleeding into polished marble floors. Everything was deliberate, expensive in the quiet way that doesn't need logos. Guests gathered in small circles, their laughter restrained, curated. Alana noticed the shift again when she entered. Not hostility, assessment. A few polite nods, one double take. She found her seat near the aisle, third row from the front. Close enough to be visible, not close enough to belong. Two women seated behind her were whispering, not carefully enough. "I heard she's from a scholarship program." "No, I think her mother worked for someone in their circle." "Well, it's impressive, marrying into this level." A pause. Strategic, if nothing else. Alana kept her gaze forward. The bride stood near the altar now, radiant, controlled, but her jaw tightened each time another whisper rippled through the room. The groom shifted beside her, murmuring something under his breath, reassurance perhaps, or negotiation. 5 minutes past the scheduled start time, confusion spread among the front rows. The officiant hadn't arrived. The wedding planner moved quickly between guests, smile strained at the edges. Phones appeared discreetly. Murmurs thickened. "This is embarrassing. Who forgets a wedding like this?" The groom's father, a man whose face Alana had seen in business journals, checked his watch twice in under a minute. Then, quietly, he stepped aside and made a call. The bride stood alone at the altar for nearly 3 full minutes, long enough for doubt to take shape. Alana felt something shift inside her. This wasn't gossip now. This was exposure. Public unraveling. The side doors opened. An older man entered, robe folded neatly over one arm rather than worn. Not theatrical, not announced. But the effect was immediate. People stood. Not because they were told to, because they recognized him. Chief Justice Adrian Vale. His presence wasn't loud, it was gravitational. He approached the altar slowly, eyes on the bride, not scanning the room, not performing authority. Focused. The groom's father stiffened. This had not been his arrangement. Justice Vale stopped in front of the bride. "You didn't think I'd miss this," he said quietly. Her composure fractured. Just slightly. "You weren't answering your phone," she whispered. "I was finishing a matter that couldn't wait, but neither could this." He turned to the guests. "The original officiant experienced an emergency this afternoon. I've been granted temporary authority to conduct the ceremony." The groom's father opened his mouth, then closed it. No one objected, because objection would mean public challenge, and no one wanted that. As the ceremony began, something subtle changed in the room. The whispers stopped. Not out of shame, out of recalibration. The bride was no longer a woman who had married up. She was someone the Chief Justice referred to as family. At one point during the vows, Justice Vale paused. He looked at the bride and said, "I've known you since you were 16. I've watched you earn every room you've walked into." It wasn't sentimental. It was declarative. Alana saw the two women behind her shift uncomfortably. Status had rearranged itself. Again. But this time it wasn't clean, because during the reception, tension surfaced. Alana stood near the terrace when she overheard part of a conversation between the groom's father and Justice Vale. "You could have warned me," the father said quietly. "I wasn't aware this required negotiation," Vale replied. "You understand what this looks like?" "Yes," Vale said. "It looks like I stand where I choose to stand." A beat of silence. "This board vote next week?" the father began. Vale's expression sharpened. "If this is about the Laurent estate matter, I suggest you proceed carefully." Alana's breath caught. Laurent. So it was connected. The groom's father lowered his voice further. You're involving yourself in private corporate policy. I'm ensuring promises made to employees are honored, Vale replied. Employees, not heirs, not charity cases. Employees. The father exhaled slowly. You're forcing friction. No, Vale said. Friction already existed. I'm refusing to polish over it. Alana stepped back before they noticed her. Her pulse quickened. This wasn't just about embarrassment. It was about control of narrative. And the vote would decide whether her mother's promise became recognition or a liability. As the evening ended, Justice Vale briefly approached Alana. You're Mary Ann's daughter. It wasn't a question. Yes. He studied her carefully. You're about to be tested. I gathered. You'll need allies. She held his gaze. Are you offering? He didn't answer directly. I don't attend weddings lightly. Then he moved on. That night, Alana received a message from Mr. Laurent. 3 words. They're contesting it. The board meeting wasn't next week. It had been moved to tomorrow morning, and she had not been invited. Alana did not sleep. Not because she was anxious, because she was thinking. There's a difference. Anxiety circles. Thought organizes. By 6:30 a.m., she had already printed the store incident report she'd written by hand. She had scanned it, time-stamped it, emailed it to herself, forwarded it to an attorney friend she hadn't spoken to in months. Documentation was leverage, and leverage, she was learning, mattered more than outrage. At 8:12 a.m., she stood across the street from Laurent and Fields. The boutique looked harmless in morning light. Clean windows, polished brass handles. No trace of what it cost to walk through those doors 5 days ago. A black town car was parked outside. Then another. Board members. She checked her phone. No invitation. At 8:24 a.m., Mr. Laurent texted, I argued against moving it up. I lost. That told her everything. He wasn't in control, which meant she wasn't protected. She crossed the street. Inside, the showroom was closed to customers. Chairs had been arranged near the back office, coffee placed neatly on a side table. 4 men, 1 woman. The woman in silver, last night's reception. Her name tag read Evelyn Carrington. Not cream, not silver. Evelyn. Alana stepped forward before anyone could stop her. I believe this concerns me. 5 heads turned. Silence thickened. Mr. Laurent looked tired, not defeated, but worn. This is a private board session, Evelyn said evenly. So is an inheritance dispute, yet here we are. One of the men cleared his throat. Miss Brooks, is it? You are not yet a shareholder, which is precisely what you're voting on. A faint shift in posture around the room. She hadn't guessed. She knew. Evelyn folded her hands on the table. The issue is procedural. Your mother was an employee, not a partner. Any informal promise. It wasn't informal, Mr. Laurent interrupted quietly. Evelyn didn't look at him. Show us the documentation. There it was. Not denial. Demand. Mr. Laurent opened a leather folder, removed a sealed envelope. The paper inside was yellowed slightly at the edges. My father drafted this, after Mary Ann's diagnosis. Diagnosis. The word landed heavier than expected. Alana hadn't known there had been legal planning. Evelyn leaned forward. Was it notarized? No. Witnessed? Yes. By whom? Mr. Laurent hesitated. And in that hesitation, Alana saw the fracture. By staff, he admitted. Evelyn sat back. So not by council, not by board, not by corporate registry. It was a private commitment. To transfer equity, Evelyn replied, calm but precise, requires formal execution. One of the older men nodded slowly. Alana stepped closer to the table. May I see it? Mr. Laurent handed her the paper. Her mother's name appeared in elegant ink. Marianne Brooks. The language was simple. Upon her passing, a minority interest shall be extended to her surviving daughter, contingent upon her request. Contingent upon her request. Alana inhaled slowly. You never contacted me. Mr. Laurent looked up sharply. Your address had changed. You didn't try very hard. That stung. Not accusation. Truth. Evelyn observed the exchange carefully. You see, Evelyn said softly, this is exactly the complication. Emotions distort business. Alana looked at her directly. This isn't emotion, it's accountability. Evelyn's expression didn't change. You're asking to enter a company whose valuation has tripled in 10 years. Your presence would shift voting dynamics. By how much? Alana asked. Enough. There it was. Not prejudice. Power math. You're concerned about control, Alana said. I'm concerned about stability, Evelyn corrected. Mr. Laurent exhaled slowly. Stability for whom? A flicker, barely visible, crossed Evelyn's face. Because this wasn't abstract. Her family's investment group held 22%. With Alana's shares activated, that percentage diluted. Board motions would require new alliances. The groom's father, the Chief Justice, now this. It was not about a necklace, it was about influence. Alana placed the document on the table. You're right, Alana said calmly. It wasn't notarized, it wasn't processed. The room quieted. But the language is clear. Intent is not execution, Evelyn replied. True. Alana reached into her bag, removed her phone. And that's why I recorded my visit here 5 days ago. Mr. Laurent stiffened. The guard from that day had been within earshot, so had the associate. And, Alana continued, steady. And in that recording, Mr. Laurent acknowledges the promise publicly in front of staff, in a place under surveillance. The older man to Evelyn's left straightened. You recorded inside this store? Yes. You didn't have permission. I didn't need it. I was documenting my own treatment. The air shifted. Legal risk, reputational risk, PR risk. Evelyn's composure tightened. You would release that? If necessary. Not a threat, a boundary. Mr. Laurent studied her carefully. This was not the same woman who had quietly emptied her purse. This one had prepared. Evelyn leaned back slightly. You understand that forcing your way in will create hostility. I'm not forcing anything, Alana replied. I'm asking the board to honor written intent. If you decline, I pursue formal review. Litigation? One of the men asked. If required. Silence. The cost calculation began. Public dispute over inheritance, racial optics, recording, Chief Justice proximity, investor wedding optics. Evelyn understood narrative. So did Alana. Mr. Laurent spoke quietly. If we table this vote, allow time for formal processing. You risk leak, Evelyn said. Leak happens if you deny, Alana responded. Another pause. Finally, the oldest board member spoke. We move to provisional recognition pending legal validation. Evelyn's jaw tightened.
That sets precedent. It sets compliance, he corrected. Votes were cast. 3 in favor, 2 against. Not victory, but entry. Evelyn gathered her folder slowly. This isn't over, she said quietly. Not dramatic, not theatrical, just factual. I didn't expect it to be, Alana replied. As the meeting adjourned, Mr. Laurent approached her. You've changed, he said. I had to. He nodded once. Be careful. Boardrooms wound differently than showrooms. Outside, reporters had not gathered. No spectacle, just morning traffic. But across the street, inside another parked car, someone lowered a phone. Photographs taken, documentation collected. Because while Alana had secured provisional recognition, she had also made herself visible. And visibility in circles like this comes with consequences. That afternoon, an article draft began circulating privately among investors. Headline suggestion: Controversial equity transfer sparks internal dispute at heritage jewelry firm. Her name was in the second paragraph. Not as heir, not as shareholder, as alleged beneficiary. By evening, the story would reach someone else entirely. Someone who did not operate in boardrooms. Someone who preferred uniforms. And he did not like when institutions look unstable.
The article went live at 9:14 a.m. Not front page, not explosive, just enough to travel. Controversial equity transfer sparks internal dispute at heritage jewelry firm. Her photo wasn't included, but her name was. Alana Brock's alleged beneficiary of disputed minority stake. Alleged. By noon, 3 calls came from unknown numbers. By 1, 2 board members had emailed requesting clarification. By 2, her inbox contained something new. A community safety complaint form. Filed anonymously. Subject line: Suspicious activity, downtown cafe. She almost laughed. Almost. The cafe was her routine. Corner booth, chamomile tea, laptop open, headphones in. Predictability was comfort. At 3:07 p.m. she was revising notes with her attorney when the door opened harder than usual. Conversation dipped sharply. Uniform. Deputy Marcus Hale. Mid-30s, crisp posture, the kind of officer who moved like someone conscious of being watched. He scanned the room once, then again. His gaze settled on her. He approached slowly. Afternoon. She removed one headphone. Yes? We received a report about someone matching your description lingering here daily. I'm a customer. He glanced at her laptop. What are you working on? She studied him. Is that relevant? It is if the report suggests casing nearby businesses. A muscle in her jaw tightened. I've been here for an hour. We've had complaints. From whom? He didn't answer. Instead, he shifted his weight slightly, positioning himself between her and the exit. Not aggressive, but deliberate. People were watching again. The barista froze mid-motion behind the counter. Alana closed her laptop slowly. I assume this is not random. Deputy Hale's expression didn't shift. Ma'am, I need to ask you to step outside while we clarify. On what grounds? Suspicion. Of what? Potential surveillance. Her pulse ticked upward. Not fear, recognition. Narrative had moved. He extended her hand toward her laptop. Leave that. She didn't. Instead, she did something precise. She tapped her phone screen once. Recording. Then she stood. I'll step outside, she said, calmly, but I'm documenting this. A flicker crossed his face. You're escalating. No, I'm preserving. Outside, the afternoon light was harsher. Wind tugged at her coat. 2 pedestrians slowed as they passed. Deputy Hale kept his voice controlled. "You've been in the news recently." There it was. "So this is about an article. It's about visibility. That's not a crime." "No, but instability creates concern." "Instability for whom?" He didn't answer directly. Instead, he glanced toward the cafe window, where several faces were pressed subtly towards the glass. "You understand," he said quietly, "that when corporate disputes go public, they draw attention. Attention draws risk." "You're suggesting I'm a risk?" "I'm suggesting perception matters." There it was again. Perception. Currency in every room. She met his eyes. "Did someone request this visit?" A pause. Long enough. He didn't deny it. Alana felt anger begin. Not hot, not explosive. Cold. Focused. "Is there a formal complaint on file?" "Yes." "May I see it?" "It's anonymous." "Convenient." His jaw tightened slightly. "Ms. Brooks, I'm trying to prevent escalation." "By creating it?" Wind cut between them. For a moment, neither spoke. Then a second patrol car turned onto the street. Unnecessary. Intentional. Deputy Hale glanced back. That wasn't his request. The second officer stepped quickly. "You good?" Hale nodded once. Routine check. But the optics had already shifted. 2 officers, 1 woman, public sidewalk. Phones lifted discreetly. Alana felt it before she saw it. The recording red light still blinking on her screen. She raised her voice, not shouting, projecting. "For clarity, officers are responding to an anonymous complaint about me drinking tea." Murmurs from pedestrians. Deputy Hale's composure thinned. "That's not accurate." "Then clarify it." He hesitated. Because clarification required specificity, and specificity exposed motive. The second officer shifted uncomfortably. "We don't need a scene," he muttered. "I didn't create one," Alana replied. Deputy Hale exhaled slowly. "This doesn't need to become public. It already is." Across the street, someone was filming openly now. Not dramatic, just documenting. 38 seconds passed where no one moved. 38 seconds of calculation. Deputy Hale looked at her phone. "You're recording?" "Yes." He nodded once. "Fine." He stepped back half a pace. "Ms. Brooks, there is no active warrant, no detention order, and no formal charge. We received a concern, we followed protocol." "Then state that clearly." He did. Voice firm, measured. For the camera. "This is a voluntary interaction. Ms. Brooks is free to leave." There it was. Not triumph. Containment. She held his gaze another moment. Then she stepped around him and re-entered the cafe. Inside, the barista avoided eye contact. Not hostility. Fear. Of being attached to controversy. Alana gathered her things, left cash on the table, and walked out the back entrance. That evening, the 38-second clip surfaced online. Not viral, but circulating. Title added by someone else. Deputies question woman linked to corporate dispute. The framing wasn't flattering, but it wasn't damning either. Ambiguous. Strategic. Deputy Hale watched it from his living room that night. Jaw tight. Because he knew something she didn't. The anonymous complaint hadn't come from a civilian. It had come from a private security consultant contracted by Laurent and Fils. Not authorized by Mr. Laurent. Authorized by the board's risk committee. Evelyn Carrington chaired that committee. Hale leaned back slowly. He had agreed to assess potential instability. He hadn't expected cameras or restraint to look like intimidation. Now Internal Affairs had emailed him. Subject line, clarification requested. The board wanted to protect valuation. Instead, they had widened exposure. And tomorrow morning, the provisional recognition paperwork would be filed publicly. Which meant Alana Brooks would no longer be alleged,
She would be official. Unless something stopped it first. At 11:42 p.m., her phone vibrated. Unknown number. She answered. "Ms. Brooks, this is Evelyn Carrington." A pause. "I believe we need to speak before this escalates beyond anyone's control."
Alana did not let the phone ring twice. "Yes?" Evelyn's voice was composed, not hostile. "I'd prefer this conversation remain private." "That depends on its content." A brief pause. "Not irritation, calibration." "You've become a liability to people who don't like liabilities," Evelyn said. "I didn't ask to be." "No," Evelyn agreed, "but you stepped into the room." Alana walked toward her window. The city below hummed in low, indifferent noise. "What do you want?" "A resolution." "That's vague." "I want to prevent escalation." Alana almost smiled. "You chaired the risk committee that initiated today's assessment." Another pause. "You're informed." "I'm attentive." Evelyn continued evenly. "The committee authorized a visibility review, not intimidation." 2 patrol cars. "That wasn't our request." Alana believed her. That was the problem. When systems move, they don't always move cleanly. "What's the resolution?" Alana asked. Evelyn exhaled slowly. "You receive a financial settlement equivalent to projected dividend yield over 5 years. You decline equity transfer. We close the matter quietly." There it was. Containment. A buyout without acknowledgement. "And in exchange?" Alana asked. "You sign a non-disclosure agreement. You withdraw any claim of discriminatory treatment. You cease public commentary." "I haven't commented publicly." "Not yet." Silence stretched between them. Wind pressed softly against the glass. "Why are you calling personally?" "Because the board is split," Evelyn replied, "and splits create instability. Instability affects valuation." "Yes." "And valuation affects your fund." "Yes." Direct, no pretense. "Do you believe I don't deserve the shares?" Evelyn did not answer immediately. "I believe intent without execution creates vulnerability, and vulnerability invites exposure." "That wasn't my question." Another pause. "I believe," she said carefully, "that you are capable of leveraging this into something larger than equity." "And that concerns you?" "It concerns everyone." Alana leaned against the window frame. "You're not afraid of me," she said quietly. "You're afraid of precedent." That landed. Because precedent ripples. If employees begin expecting retroactive equity recognition, they won't, Alana interrupted, because most don't have documentation. Evelyn's tone shifted slightly. "You're intelligent. You know this isn't just about you." "No," Alana said. "It's about control." Neither woman raised her voice. Neither tried to dominate. They were negotiating narrative. "I'll consider your proposal," Alana said finally. "You have 48 hours." The line disconnected. The next morning, Deputy Marcus Hale sat in a small internal affairs office. Fluorescent lighting, metal desk, no windows. The clip played again on a tablet between him and the investigator. 38 seconds. Paused at the moment the second patrol car arrived. "Why was backup dispatched?" "I didn't request it." "But it arrived?" "Yes." "Your body cam audio references a corporate dispute." Hale nodded once. "Context." "Did you feel pressured to respond?" He hesitated. That hesitation was recorded. "Define pressured." The investigator's expression didn't change. "Was this call prioritized unusually?" "Yes." "By whom?" "Dispatch flagged it." "Why?" Hale leaned back slowly. "Because the complainant wasn't a civilian." The investigator waited. "It was filed through a private security liaison." "Name?" Hale held his gaze. "Carrington Risk Advisory." The investigator wrote it down.
That name would travel. Meanwhile, Alana sat across from her attorney reviewing the settlement draft Evelyn's firm had already sent. Fast, efficient, well prepared. They expected her to consider 5 years projected dividends, lump sum payout, strict confidentiality. No admission of fault, her attorney noted. Of course not. You'd walk away with capital, he added, clean. And they'd preserve structure. Yes. He studied her carefully. You're not just deciding about money. No. You're deciding whether to become symbolic. She didn't answer, because that was the real cost. Symbol becomes target. Equity becomes shield. But shields attract arrows. Her phone vibrated. Unknown number. She almost ignored it. She didn't. Ms. Brooks? Yes. This is Chief Justice Vale. Her spine straightened instinctively. I won't take much of your time, but you should know the board has received notice. Of what? A formal inquiry from Internal Affairs. She closed her eyes briefly. Regarding the cafe incident? Yes. That wasn't my doing. I'm aware. A pause. However, he continued, once inquiries begin, institutions protect themselves. Meaning, pressure may increase before it relents. She absorbed that. You're advising me to take the settlement. I'm advising you to anticipate response. That's not the same. No, he agreed. It isn't. Silence again. Then he added quietly, your mother refused a payout once. For what? For silence. The word hung between them. She believed recognition mattered more than comfort. That cost her. Yes, and it may cost you. The line ended gently. No directive, no rescue, just information. That afternoon, something else surfaced. A second clip. Different angle, longer, from inside the cafe. It showed Deputy Hale positioning himself between Alana and the exit. No aggression, but visible constraint. The caption circulating now read, was this really routine? The narrative was tilting, not violently, subtly. Board members began texting each other. Investors called Evelyn directly. Risk assessment was no longer hypothetical. It was active. At 6:17 p.m., Alana received an email from the board secretary. Subject, confirmation of equity activation filing, pending signature. They were moving forward. Not because they believed in her, because containment was failing. But attached to the filing was an addendum. Clause 14. Shareholder agrees to non-disparagement regarding pre-transfer procedural disputes. It wasn't a settlement, it was insulation. Take your shares, but stay quiet. Alana read it twice, then 3 times. She forwarded it to her attorney. And then she did something neither Evelyn nor the board had anticipated. She requested an in-person meeting. Full board, open session, recorded. Not negotiation, transparency. That request alone changed everything. Because if the board agreed, discussion became record. If they refused, refusal became record. Either way, narrative escaped private containment. At 9:03 p.m., Evelyn responded. One line. You're making this larger than it needs to be. Alana typed back. No, I'm making it visible. She set her phone down. Across the city, Deputy Marcus Hale stared at the Internal Affairs email requesting formal testimony. Evelyn reviewed investor withdrawal warnings. Mr. Laurent sat alone in his darkened showroom. And somewhere within the system that had tried to quietly correct itself, someone decided the cleanest solution was no longer negotiation. It was discrediting. The next morning, a new article draft began circulating privately. This one wasn't about equity. It was about Alana, and it questioned her past.
The article didn't accuse her of anything illegal. It did something more effective. It reframed her. Community advocates' financial ties raise questions amid corporate dispute. It referenced an old nonprofit grant application she had submitted years ago, one that had been denied. It quoted an unnamed source claiming she had aggressively pursued influence within elite circles. It implied ambition was opportunism. It implied visibility was strategy. There were no lies, just arrangement. Alana read it twice, slowly. Then she closed her laptop. They weren't attacking her credibility directly. They were softening it, making her appear calculating. That was smarter than hostility, because it invited doubt without outrage. Her phone vibrated. Full board meeting confirmed. Open session, recorded, 12:30 p.m. They had agreed, not because they wanted transparency, because refusal would look worse. The boardroom was larger than she expected. Long walnut table, wall-length windows, city skyline reflecting in muted gray. 6 board members present: Mr. Laurent, Evelyn Carrington, the groom's father, 2 senior investors, and 1 legal counsel. A camera sat discreetly at the far end of the table, not theatrical, just present. Alana entered alone, no attorney beside her. That was intentional. She wanted no one to say she was being coached. "Miss Brooks," the counsel began, "this session is being recorded for corporate compliance." "I requested that." "Yes." The red light blinked on. For a moment, no one spoke. The room felt less like confrontation and more like calculation suspended. Evelyn broke the silence. "You've declined settlement." "Yes." "You've requested public equity activation." "Yes." "You've refused non-disparagement language." "Yes." Direct, clean. The groom's father leaned forward. "Why?" Alana folded her hands on the table. "Because silence would imply impropriety." "And you believe there was none?" "I believe process was incomplete," she said evenly, "not corrupt." That answer surprised them, because she didn't call them unethical, she called them procedural. Mr. Laurent studied her carefully. "You understand this company will face scrutiny if we formalize this." "It already is." The counsel cleared his throat. "The internal affairs inquiry regarding the cafe incident is now linked to Carrington Risk Advisory." A flicker crossed Evelyn's face, not panic, but irritation. "We authorized risk review," Evelyn said calmly, "not law enforcement escalation." "But escalation occurred," Alana replied. "And we did not instruct that," Evelyn said firmly. There it was, complexity. No mastermind pulling strings, just institutional overreach. The oldest investor spoke next. "If we proceed with equity activation, media will frame this as capitulation." "Only if you frame it as defense," Alana replied. The room stilled slightly. "You're suggesting narrative partnership," Evelyn said. "I'm suggesting clarity." She opened a folder she had brought. Inside were 3 documents: the original handwritten incident report from the boutique, the provisional vote confirmation, a printed copy of the article questioning her past. She placed them side by side on the table. "This," she said, tapping the first page, "was a moment of assumption." She tapped the second. "This was a moment of correction." Then the third. "This is a moment of preservation." No one interrupted. "I am not asking to control your company," she continued. "I am asking you to honor documented intent without rewriting the narrative around it." The groom's father studied the article printout. "You understand," he said carefully, "that influence is fragile." "Yes," she replied. "That's why I'm not asking for public apology." That landed, because they expected one. "I'm asking for accurate record." Silence again. Then Evelyn leaned forward slightly. "If we activate equity and issue a statement acknowledging legacy commitment without admission of fault, you will not pursue further action?" "I will not pursue action based on the store incident." "Or the cafe?" "I did not initiate the inquiry." which was true. Internal Affairs had. Deputy Hale's name had begun circulating quietly in union circles. He had been placed on temporary administrative review, not suspended, reviewed. Cost, but not destruction. The counsel adjusted his glasses. Miss Brooks, you're asking us to formalize equity transfer and issue neutral acknowledgement? Yes. In exchange for stability? In exchange for transparency, she corrected. Evelyn watched her closely. You realize once you sit on this board, you inherit its scrutiny. I'm aware. And its liability. I'm aware. And its compromises. A beat. I expect them. That was the first honest answer that carried weight. Not idealism, acceptance. Mr. Laurent finally spoke. This my father intended, he said quietly. I delayed it. That is on me. The room shifted slightly. Ownership. The groom's father exhaled slowly. Then we proceed. Votes were cast. Unanimous. Not because everyone agreed morally, because resistance now cost more than compliance. The camera recorded it all. Equity activation approved. Legacy acknowledgement authorized. Statement to be issued within 48 hours. Not dramatic, administrative, but irreversible. Outside the building, no reporters waited. Not yet. But inside, the record existed, and records, once created, travel. As Alana stepped toward the elevator, Evelyn caught up beside her. You understand this isn't defeat, Evelyn said quietly. I didn't expect it to be. You forced acceleration. You tried to contain it. Evelyn nodded once. Yes. A pause. You'll find this room more complex than you imagine. I already do. Evelyn studied her for a moment longer. You're not what they expected. That works both ways, Alana replied. For the first time, Evelyn's mouth curved slightly. Not friendship, recognition. That evening, Laurent and Fils released a statement. The board formally recognizes a legacy equity commitment made in prior leadership. We affirm our responsibility to honor documented intent and ensure transparent governance moving forward. No apology, no accusation, just record. Deputy Hale received notice that his review would conclude without formal discipline, but with revised protocol training for liaison interactions involving private entities. Containment, correction, cost, not destruction. Alana sat alone in her apartment as the statement circulated. Her phone buzzed repeatedly. Support messages, investor curiosity, media requests. Visibility had expanded, not because she wanted it, because she refused silence. She walked to her window. City lights stretched outward. The sapphire necklace rested against her collarbone. It no longer felt like inheritance, it felt like entry. Her phone vibrated once more. Unknown number. She answered. A calm male voice. Miss Brooks, this is the City Development Commission. A pause. We understand you now hold minority equity at Laurent and Fils. Yes. We'd like to discuss a proposal regarding redevelopment zoning downtown. She closed her eyes briefly. Boardrooms led to policy, policy led to power, power led to new rooms. The story hadn't ended, it had shifted arenas, and this time she was walking in through the front door.